How's it going, guys? We're back again with the commands of Christ, and today is trust in me, and you'll find that in John chapter 14. And so trust in me. So we've gone through all these commands that Christ has given, and we've learned that when Christ gives a command and we don't follow that command, there's a consequence for the disobedience of not following that command. So we know that following Jesus means obeying His teaching. It means obeying His commands, what He taught, what He said. No one else, Jesus Christ. So we go to verse 1. Do not let your hearts be troubled. You believe in God, believe also in me. And further down in there, He says that I and the Father are one. So if Jesus and the Father are one, then trusting Jesus is trusting the Father. He's the gate for the sheep. He's everything. The Father sent Him to us for us to have a relationship with the Father. So in other words, Jesus is how we communicate with the Father. How we feel them and how we hear them is the Holy Spirit. Really cool thing. We go to 15. If you love me, keep my commands, and I will ask the Father, and He will give you another advocate to help you and will be with you forever, the Spirit of truth. And this is 23. Anyone who loves me will obey my teaching. My Father will love them and will come to them and make our home with them. Anyone who does not love me will not obey my teaching. So one of the things that got me on this was the fact that it tripped me out how in seminary they were teaching us that all the New Testament is Hebrew, Aramaic. Everything's written in Aramaic. Every single thing is just Aramaic. And I'm trying to understand how Hebrews would have written that way. It doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, I work with Latino guys every single day, but I don't write memos in Spanish. You know what I mean? It didn't make any sense at all to me. That every book, anyway, kicking it around a little bit, I went on YouTube and looked at the Hebrew Matthew. And man, one of the coolest, I was listening to the whole thing, and it's, Shabbat Shalom and da-da-da-da-da and L'chaim, and, and what was cool about it is all these scriptures that I've known that have the word faith, okay, was replaced with trust. Dude, I was like, wow. Yeah. Super cool, right? I mean, it's crazy how, they switch that, and it's like, man, that ain't right. Something's not right there. Those guys are right when they said they changed the Bible, man. And, go about my business. A couple of days later, I was like, whoa, wait a second. What's the difference between trust and faith? So you look it up. Faith is like it's like a kind of, you know what I mean? It's nothing next to trust. Because faith has a scale of 1 to 100 or 1 to 10 or whatever. It's scaled. It's not something that is 100%. But 100% faith is what trust is. That is exactly what it is. And so we confuse these little things. Like if you have the faith of a mustard seed, you can move mountains. So going through the Hebraic and looking at all of these areas is 99% of the time, anywhere you've got the word faith, okay, in the Gospels, in the Hebraic, it's trust. And so when the woman that had the bleeding issue for 12 years, she went and grabbed the hem of Jesus' garment, it was her trust that healed her. The centurion that had the sick servant wasn't even worthy to have Jesus go into his home. You know what healed the servant? His trust, not his faith. So it was scary to me to hear that at first, to even think of that, to switch something around that way. But in other words, it's 100% faith. It's what it's supposed to be. And so we look in places like James 4, where Jesus' brother is saying, hey man, the reason God's not giving you stuff, it's maybe not, it's because, not just because you're not asking, but you're not asking the right way. Your heart's not in the right place. In other words, if you ask God for something and you don't even believe He's going to give it to you, that's not a faith issue, guys. That's a trust issue. Okay? Man, look, not long ago, a couple years ago, I'm sitting on the couch with my buddy, and I'm talking to him about why my finances totally suck, and I can't figure anything out. I mean, nothing's making sense. Nothing calculates. And I'm praying, I'm asking God to help me, I'm begging Him to give me a shot. I just don't get it. I read your Bible, I say your prayers, I do the walk, I do the dance, I do the limbo, the samba and whatever, and it's like nothing, dude. Cold turkey freaking sandwich. And why? And I'm crying, makes me want to drink, makes me, anything you think of, made me want to do it. Because when your finances are hurting, boy, it just crushes your spirit, it crushes your mind. It's really, really hard. And then you'll read things in the Bible that are like, man, seek the kingdom of heaven, I'll give you everything you want. And it just, it's like, what is the issue? So I saw this, and I've heard this 100 times. If you go to Jeremiah 29:11, he says, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you, not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. Then you will call on me and come and pray to me, and I will listen to you. You will seek me and find me when you seek me with all of your heart. I will be found by you, declares the Lord, and I will bring you back from captivity. I will gather you from all the nations and places where I have banished you, declares the Lord. I will bring you back to the place from which I carried you into exile." So, you see something like that. And, David even said, "I've never seen the righteous forsaken or their seed out begging for bread." Guys, he's trying to get us to focus on what is important to him. Okay? We have children. You think God didn't want to give me stuff? Of course He did. Even if it was silly to Him. Well, my son, he wants a Slinky or a lollipop or whatever. It's stupid, but it brings you joy, peace, and comfort to bless your kids. And it's the same with God. It's the same. There's no difference. It absolutely pleases Him. And He's very involved in it. But if He holds back because He's trying to get my focus in the right place, He wants me to be zeroed in on Him and His kingdom. And just me getting in there and having a relationship with Him and being a productive citizen of heaven. And the question is, do we care? Do we even care about our citizenship in heaven? Is heaven our mindset, or is everything else? if Satan can't get us to fall into blatant sin, he's going to keep us busy. And so it's what happened to me. My life went from sin to way too busy, way too distracted, wrong stuff on my mind. So, God had to withhold to get my heart and mind and spirit where he wanted it. And so James says, what causes fights and quarrels among you? Don't they come from your desires that battle within you? You desire, but you do not have, so you kill. You covet, but you cannot get what you want, so you quarrel and fight. You do not have because you do not ask God. When you do ask, you do not receive, because you ask with wrong motives, that you may spend what you get on your pleasures. We're all guilty of that. Every single one of us is guilty of that. There's no question about it. But what's important? What's important is Jesus says, trust in me. So we look at the Hebraic Matthew, where faith for us becomes trust. And so now, this whole time, I'm sure I'm not alone in this. I'm sure there are hundreds of thousands of people that go to church every Sunday in the United States of America, maybe around the whole world, okay, that think that the aim is faith. They think the standard for following Jesus is a faith deal, okay? Faith. And Jesus says clearly, very clearly, in so many places, examples, that what has healed these folks, what has gotten them through everything. I mean, just look all the way, the Old Testament, all the way to Revelation. Obedience, obedience, obedience. He's commanding you in John chapter 14 to trust him. So if we don't know that trust is the goal, because someone changed the wording around, whatever, 3rd century or whenever it was, why is that my fault? Well, it's not. So God is going to put you through whatever he has to get you to the place where you're able to trust him. He'll withhold. How many times has God come through for you in the last minute? You've got this thing and it's going to blow up, and it's, a ticking time bomb. In the last second, you're watching the countdown, 10, 9, 8. I mean, you got a half a second left. And it's all good. Why? Why would he do that? It makes no sense, man. That's nuts. Why would he do that? So he's got it. Because if he waits till the last second, it is not a coincidence, man. If it happens 100 times, it's not a coincidence. That's God, dude. I'm sorry. So, I mean, if he comes through at the last second every single time, he's coming through. You can trust him to come through the next time. We're also supposed to cast our cares on him. All of them. Everything. It's no longer your issue. It's his issue. But this trust thing is huge, man. If you didn't trust your spouse, okay, and they're going to know it. They're going to feel it. So even when we say prayers to God, and he knows. So, if you've got trust issues with God, ask him to help you fix it. This is, man, I'm telling you, this right here, you look in John chapter 14 further down, and he says, and man, I'm telling you, he says you'll do even greater things than me. Guys, this is just the beginning. We're talking about, bullcrap car, house, job, blah, blah, blah. Dude, you're talking about limbs growing back stuff, man. Serious kingdom stuff. No joke. Legitimate. That is how cool this is. This is hot, man. Trust for Jesus Christ. Real faith. 100% uncorrupted, unquestionable. Unquestionable. So, anyway, guys, I'm going to start trying to use the word trust more. Let's do it together. anybody that hasn't had a chance to read the Hebraic text, do it, man. Just get on there and listen to the Hebraic Matthew. Like I said, you know, it's going to be kind of weird at first. Shabbat Shalom, Kahone, ran, and all this. But look, you'll get through it. If you've read Matthew and you're very familiar with the scriptures, which I'm sure you are, it's going to jump out and it's going to reach you, and it'll really help you out. It's just a super cool study. But anyway, guys, that's the end of today. Trust in me. And that comes from a command in John chapter 14. So anyway, guys, thanks for tuning in. And if you guys have anything you want to share, send it to us. Like us. See y'all later.